G'day, I'm Paul. While the Audi Q7 might be reaching very much the end of its life, I'm still a really big fan of these things, and I thought we'd revisit it with this one here. It's called the 55 TFSI, so it's petrol powered. Normally we review all the diesel stuff, but this is petrol powered, so I'm excited to have a bit of a drive. This is priced at just under $130,000. It competes with things like the BMW X5, the Mercedes-Benz GLE, and the new Lexus RX. This is of course a 7-seater as well. Today we're going to be doing a detailed review of this car, so if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you can use the time codes on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you could scroll down and use the chapters below. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. That way you can find out every single time we drive a petrol-powered SUV. Let's start with the exterior. So you have 7 external colours to pick from, all but white. It's going to cost you $2,300 extra, which is pretty expensive. This here comes with the S-Line package. So looks a little bit sporty. You got that big black grille there with those piano black elements in the centre, the big set of Audi rings there, and then radar sensors either side with a quattro badge as well. This received a minor facelift recently, and also a new interior that came with Audi's new infotainment system. So I'll run through that in a second, but you can see here with the facelift, it was pretty minor, just headlights and this lower air dam area. It all looks fairly similar otherwise. So full LED headlights with matrix LED. Love these dynamic indicators. They look really cool. And it's just, I don't know, Audi is really good with LED lights, both front and rear. So I love how they're just adventurous with all of this, and they make their lights just look really cool. A little bit of cooling down the bottom there. Jump around to the side. Now around here, you've got a set of 21-inch alloy wheels. So that design has like a diamond cut finish on the outside and then a piano black finish on the inside. Now, sorry about how dirty the car is. It was absolutely bucketing down on the way here, and it's now cleared up, but it's all still a little bit dirty. Big set of stoppers there because this car weighs a fair bit, also capable of towing 3.5 tons, so they need to have a decent set of brakes on there. How well is this going to perform when we go for a drive? 21-inch alloy wheels, it's pretty big, and yes, there is a bit of sidewall rubber there to keep it nice and smooth, adaptive damping and air suspension as well, but it is a big car, so I'll be curious to see whether the ride is actually any good. S-Line badge over here, you've got a 360 camera, which means camera nestled in under there, indicator built into there, and then piano black on those wing mirrors. You've got these matte finished roof rails, which I love. Panoramic glass roof, a little bit of privacy glass there, and then come around to the back. More of that LED, strong LED game just there. 55 TFSI with a quattro badge, Q7 down there. I love this lashing of brushed aluminium under the Audi logo there as well. Don't quite love the fake exhaust pipes though. I still don't understand why they have these cutouts here and they just don't have an exhaust. Really just makes no sense at all. A little bit of piano black down the bottom there as well. Brake light and then shark fin aerial up the top. Let me know what you reckon about the design. I mentioned earlier that this is kind of reaching the end of its life very quickly, but I still reckon it looks pretty good, and it is a big SUV. A lot of the other SUVs in this segment don't feel or look as big. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. So we're inside the Q7. Let's start off with the key. You've got lock, boot, unlock, the Audi logo, a little bit of brushed aluminium on the side and then blank on the back. This is a proximity sensing key, so leave that in your pocket. Once you're inside, you have a push button start. So there is a lot of piano black around here. Have a look at that. It is all over the dashboard, all over these sections here. Really not a huge fan of it. It's just a surface that's really hard to keep clean, but it is nicely offset with all these brushed aluminium pieces and that sort of quattro section that runs all the way through it. And this has really cool ambient lighting at night time, so it kind of breaks everything up enough. This still looks modern as well. I know that this has been out for a little while now, but it does still look modern to me. I like the way that these vents run all the way along the dashboard there. You've got these big screens here and the screen ahead of the driver as well. And everything's within easy reach too, so it is nicely presented. What about your materials and your touch points? So the materials are good. They're all sort of soft touch along the top there. Touch points, that is soft to the touch there and firm on the door. How soft are they? We've got our durometer. We've tested the main surfaces in this cabin. If you want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description. Build quality. That all feels really nice and solid. The interesting thing as well, just as a side note here, car companies are finding it really hard to get cars for media to review, and this is one good example. It's got like 12,000 Ks on the clock, and to be honest, it actually all feels really good and still quite solid. Now, door test. Feels was nice and solid as well. Let's talk infotainment. So you've got one screen up here, one screen below that, and then one ahead of the driver, and I'll run you through each of those and how they all work. We'll start off up here. It's a little over 10 inches in size. It's a color touchscreen, and this also has haptic feedback. So as you push a little harder on the screen, you feel a little click on your finger, and that's designed to make sure that if you are driving and you want to change a setting or something, you don't need to look twice to make sure the button you've pressed has actually done something. You can just feel that response in your finger as well. This has several menus there, along with some shortcuts. You can also pull down from the top to get additional context menus. This is also now connected to the internet, so you can query services online and get access to things like maps and that kind of thing. You have inbuilt satellite navigation that's native to the infotainment system. You can see here that it has satellite overlays. Then in addition to that, you also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Apple CarPlay is wireless. Here's what that looks like. So really nice integration, very quick and snappy there, and I found it to be quite reliable as well. And this is Android Auto. So again, full screen integration. That's nice and snappy as well. Now, how's this for a sound system? You've got AM, FM, DAB, digital radio, and that's all plumbed through a 19 speaker Bang & Olufsen branded sound system. It is a ripper sound system, and I love the fact that you can buy one of these SUVs and have like a home grade sound system to keep you moving. So really impressed with that. Let's jump to the screen down the bottom here. The screen is just under 9 inches in size, and it also has haptic feedback. So as you push some of these buttons, you get the response on your finger. This is basically where you'll find your climate controls. So when you switch those on, that all comes to life. You can then slide up and down to change those or click with your finger. Then in addition to that, you also have some shortcuts up the top here that you can set navigation destinations to. This also becomes a keypad when you do type in navigation destinations. I'll show you what that looks like. There you go. You can either just type it in as a keyboard or alternatively write the letters in like that. So yeah, it's a really good setup. I quite like that. Now, the screen ahead of the driver is just over 12 inches in size. This is called Audi's virtual cockpit. Really good setup. This is the best in the business when it comes to screen resolution and also functionality. So you can see here, I can supersize that satellite navigation display. I can then switch between different items as well while we're driving. So really cool to see this technology just come standard in the car. Let's talk about safety tech. So you have forward and reverse AEB. You've got an auto dimming rear vision mirror, blind spot monitoring using a light there on the wing mirror. You have a lane departure warning and a lane keeping assistant. It's kind of a semi-autonomous steering function. Works okay, nothing sort of too amazing. Radar cruise control, rear cross traffic alert. There's also this feature that absolutely scared the crap out of me the other day. I was reversing and it slammed the brakes on because it thought I was going to hit something behind me. It ended up just being nothing significant, but that is effectively the reverse AEB kicking into action. You've also got front and rear parking sensors and a 360 camera. I'll show you what that looks like. So there it is there. You can see at the front there, quality's okay. That's your 360 view. Again, quality's okay, nothing sort of too amazing, but you can go 3D on the car. Spin it around to see what's going on around there, but then you can also select all of your camera views as well. So if I go over here, you can see rear wheels, front wheels, a side, I guess a wide angle view of the rear, and then a direct view of the rear, and then again your top-down view. So yeah, look, it's okay. I guess that's clear enough to see exactly what's written on our suitcase there, but you can see around the edges there, it's quite distorted. So I guess the camera quality could be slightly better. Moving on to practicality, and we'll start off with your connectivity. Where are you going to plug your stuff up? So you've got a 12-volt outlet just here. You also have in this center console 2 USB-C outlets plus a wireless phone charger. In terms of storing your phone, you can pop it here in the cup holders if you want, or over here. There really are quite a number of places for it, which is good. Coffee cup. So, drove here this morning in this, and look at this. Fits in beautifully, easy to extract as well. Bottle, same story. You've got a set of teeth in there to hold it in, and it really just doesn't go anywhere, which is great news. Bottle inside the door as well, no problems there. What about our big bottle? We'll see if that fits. It's not going to fit in here. It fits in the door. Yes, it fits in the door, good news. You do have storage just next to the driver's knee here that allows you to put in keys and other bits and pieces. Your center console moves forwards and backwards to give you additional height. And then when you do crack it open, it is such a tiny storage space. It's almost sort of comical in terms of its size. And then finally, you have a glove box over here that is pretty reasonably sized. What about your comfort? Well, you've got quad zone automatic climate control. So that's 2 zones up the front here. You also have heated seats and heated steering wheel. Electric seat adjustment, so you can go forwards, backwards. You can do backrest, forwards, backwards. You can lift the base up at the front and also at the back. You also have lumbar adjustment as well. Passenger seat is electrically adjustable. Seats are comfy, so they hug you in nicely. You've got this S insignia on them as well because this has the S-Line package. On the steering front, you have both tilt and reach adjustment. It's fully electric, which is good news. And on our reach test, all of this stuff is easy to reach while you're driving. Okay, second row of the Q7. Now this is what I'm talking about. I have stacks of knee room, toe room is excellent, headroom is great too, and my driver's seat is pretty much all the way back in my standard driving position. So this is like a proper adult mover as well as an SUV. So map pockets in the back of the seats there. You've got a 3rd and 4th zone of climate control, air vents here and also air vents in the B pillar. Little coat hook there as well. 2 USB-C ports down the bottom and a 12-volt outlet. There's a center armrest here with 2 cup holders. There they are. Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't really fit our bottles. That is so bizarre. Like, it does, but it's sort of, you got to really jam it in there, which is kind of strange. This does fit inside the door though, which is cool. I did notice on the door, there's like a smoker's pack. A little ashtray there. It's like you're flying in the 70s or something. It's kind of weird. This is interesting too. So 40, 20, 40, but then you can also move each sector individually. So that comes into play if you do have 3 adults across here. You can move the center forward a touch so you don't have shoulder contact between adults if they are bigger. So really impressive setup there, and there's lots of versatility. The other bonus as well is if you do have baby seats, you've got ISOFIX points on all 3 seats along with top tether points. So you can actually fit 3 child seats abreast here, which is good news for families. And finally, our window test. Oh, so close. Almost made it all the way down, but auto up and down on the window, which is definitely good news. Now, this is a 3-row SUV, so can you fit adults in? Let's find out. So you've got 2 methods of folding this seat. You can fold your seat down like this and clamber over if you have kids that are monkeys, or you can move that out of the way by tumbling it all the way forward, and then you climb on in. Alrighty. Whoa, there is not much room here. So let's see how this is. Oh my God, this is very much not an adult space. You have to be kind of like a gymnast or a yoga instructor. So let's see what happens if I drop this down. Wow, there is no room at all. If I pull this back up, that's like crushing my shins as well. Okay, what I might do, Igor, can you shift this seat and this seat forward, and we'll see if we can configure it so you can actually fit an adult here. There's that, and then same story for that one, please. Okay, so there you go. I'm in position now. My knees are kind of wedged into the seat, but I can kind of fit. My toes are in between these rails. So there really isn't a great deal of room there. I would not be comfortable here for a long distance drive, but you do get creature comforts like cup holders off to the side here. No USB charging, no air vents though. But you do get airbag coverage for this 3rd row section, which is kind of good. Maybe, Igor, if you get a shot of that as well, it gives you an idea of how much legroom there is. Not a huge amount of legroom in the 2nd row when you have an adult in the 3rd row. So this is probably just going to be a kids-only zone, I reckon. Let's see how much room there is behind the 3rd row. Okay, so let's see what it's like behind that 3rd row. So power tailgate. So behind here you have under 300 litres of cargo space, and it does look kind of wide, but I'm just a bit concerned about how that eats into there. We'll have a look at that in a second. But beneath the cargo floor, you've got a few speaker bits and pieces, some of the 48 volt mild hybrid setup, a tyre repair kit, a jacket, a couple of other bits and pieces. Now, how does it fit our bags just into this slot here? Let's see if we can actually fit all this stuff in. Yes, we can. I wonder if that closes. Let's have a look. I don't know if it's going to whack into that. Oh, there's space behind the window. There you go. That's closed nicely, which is good to see. Now, hidden over here as well, you've got a 12-volt outlet plus some buttons. Now, these buttons are interesting because you do not have to operate the 3rd row seats manually. All you do is just hold these 2 buttons. They drop down out of the way. and then disappear into the floor. You can also operate the third row from the second row as well using another set of buttons. This is also where you're going to find your suspension control. So by pushing and holding this, we'll drop the rear end of the car down to make loading larger items a whole lot easier. When you do have this space open and the third row folded away, you have a little over 700 litres of cargo space available. What you can also do is fold the second row, and that then gives you access to around 2,000 litres. We've just hit the road in the Q7. Look, one of the first things that I noticed is just how smooth this engine is. I'm used to driving these Q7s with the diesel, but the petrol powertrain really just takes this to another level in terms of refinement. So powering this is a 3-litre turbocharged V6 petrol engine, makes 250 kilowatts of power and 500 Newton meters of torque. So it's a good healthy number there to keep things moving along. And that's all mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's just a standard torque converter, so no dual clutch setup here, and permanent all-wheel drive as well. It's Audi's quattro system. Now, what does it feel like behind the wheels? We're in the comfort mode at the moment. I'll give this just a little kickback. A little lazy to respond there, but once it gets up and moves, it actually really gives you a nice push along there. You feel the torque, and it doesn't feel lazy like you can get sometimes from a diesel engine. Now, in terms of fuel economy, obviously going to a petrol instead of a diesel is going to use a lot more fuel. In this instance, Audi claims a combined figure of a little over 9 litres per 100 Ks. We are currently sitting on a short term of 9 litres, which is basically just the highway driving to get here. But then there is a long-term average of 11.3. So it is slightly higher than that number, but ultimately I'm pretty happy with that. You do get all of that refinement, and it comes at the cost of just slightly more fuel use. You do need to keep in mind though that you do need to feed this with premium unleaded fuel, so it is going to be slightly more expensive, especially these days with fuel prices. One thing I do love as well, I've just rolled out of the throttle. Have a look at that. The car is currently switched off. So thanks to that 48 volt mild hybrid system, it's able to effectively switch the engine off whenever it doesn't need to be using fuel. And that'll be in instances, for example, when you're approaching an intersection or something like that, it will be able to see that that is coming up. When you're approaching a reduction in the speed zone, again, it can see that coming up. It prompts you with a little vibration on the throttle and then an icon there of a foot. And then it basically says, hey, take your foot off the throttle because I'm going to switch the engine off now. And that is really cool technology because it actually works. It actually saves you fuel. And that 48 volt mild hybrid system is then able to run the rest of the car's systems without the internal combustion engine actually being on. Let's talk about the different drive modes. So kind of overkill here. You've got off-road, all-road, efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. They really do load so many drive modes into this platform that it kind of just gets a little bit confusing. But ultimately, the good thing is that when you switch between those drive modes, it will adjust the height of the vehicle accordingly. So as you go to the dynamic mode, for example, it lowers the height to get it hugging the road. It means that it's going to be just a little more enthusiastic through corners. Let's talk about ride. So we'll crank this up a little bit. The ride is fantastic. So this uses air suspension with adaptive damping, and it just wafts along nicely. It can be a little bit coarse at times when you hit potholes and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's really nicely composed and doesn't fuss too much. And if we jack this up to 130 now for our sine waves, it's a maximum legal speed here in Australia. Yeah, look, it's in comfort mode, it is pretty floaty. It sort of hangs up there a little bit longer than it needs to, but there is an automatic drive mode here that is going to recognize things like that and then firm up the suspension a little bit when it does notice that body control getting a little bit lingering at the top end there. It's worth calling out that this car's optioned with the 4-wheel steering setup, and that means at low speeds you have the rear wheels countering the direction of the front wheels to help tighten the turning circle, and it means that when you are doing 3-point turns, it is really nice and tight compared to some of the other big SUVs in this segment. And then when you are doing sportier driving as well, it helps assist you getting through the corner and putting in less work for the driver to actually get the car through the corner. So let's put this into sport mode. Audi calls it dynamic. So immediately I can feel the ride get firmer. It's lowering the suspension. The steering's heavier. Let's see what this big bus is like. That annoying speed limiter keeps coming on for 110. Oh, look, this isn't actually too bad. Gets along nicely. So the air suspension, the adaptive damping, it's keeping the body fairly flat. There is still a degree of body roll there, but it keeps it flat enough. And this engine has so much punch. It is hoofing along, especially on the faster sections. It sort of just has lots of legs. What I love about the faster version of this, the SQ7, is you can really sort of throw it around like a sports car, and this to a degree feels like that. It's not as nimble, and I'm finding with the brakes as well that I really got to commit to the brakes. You feel the weight of this as you move around. It is over 2 tons, but for the most part it actually gets along nicely. Let's see what it's like on our back straight here. We roll onto that. Give that a kick. There we go. Yeah, look, it is actually getting along nicely. Surprising for such a big SUV that it's so willing to move, but yeah, I just don't have a great deal of confidence in the brake pedal. You've got to really jump onto that, otherwise it'll run away from you. But yeah, it's actually pretty exciting to drive for such a big SUV. Audi claims a 0 to 100 time of just under 6 seconds. This is how it went up against our stopwatch. What's it like in terms of road noise? It is pretty quiet in here. It is worth keeping in mind that this is reaching the end of its life cycle. So this model is going to be replaced eventually with a new version of the Q7. This platform's been out for a while, but surprisingly, it actually still does a good job in terms of refinement and giving you, I guess, the comfort you want behind the wheel of a luxury German SUV. It's nice and quiet on highway speeds. Even on coarse chip roads, it doesn't really have a great deal of noise that comes into the cabin. One of the other big benefits of the Q7 is its towing capacity. It's able to tow 3.5 tons with a brake trailer. That's good news because it means that if you do have a caravan or something like that, you can actually put all your kids in the car and drive the caravan too. Obviously, you've got to watch your GCM and GVMs, but this is a really good option if you need something that ticks all of those boxes. Now, visibility. This is a big SUV, but I can see clearly down the front there. The wing mirrors are huge as well. Visibility at the back is excellent. Despite this being a large SUV, it is actually pretty easy to place on the road, and then parking's easy as well with the litany of sensors that it comes with. So the Audi Q7, it's kind of like a fine wine. It's just getting better with age, and to think that this is pretty much reaching the end of its life cycle, yet is still such a good purchase proposition, tells you how good that platform is inherently. And I reckon if you are going to buy one, go with the petrol. It is such a good hearty engine, and it's a bit of a smile maker. It's really comfortable, it has stacks of room inside, and the tech is on point as well. So it really is quite hard to fault. So let me know, did you buy a Q7? Do you tow with it? I'm keen to know how this goes as a tow vehicle. Let me know in the comments section below. What's it like to live with? Is it expensive to service? I'm keen for your feedback. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it, you share it with your mates, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. But until next time, take it easy.